15 yesterday. Curious. 15th of the month, too. Her first birthday away from home. Separation. Remember the summer morning she was born, running to knock up Mrs. Thornton in Denzil Street. Jolly old woman. Lots of babies she must have helped into the world. She knew from the first poor little Rudy wouldn't live. Well, God is good, sir. She knew at once. He would be 11 now if he had lived. His vacant face stared pitying at the postscript. Excuse bad writing. Hurry. Piano downstairs. Coming out of her shell. Row with her in the XL Cafe about the bracelet. Wouldn't eat her cakes or speak or look. Saucebox. He sopped other dies of bread in the gravy and ate piece after piece of kidney. 12 and 6 a week. Not much. Still, she might do worse. Music hall stage. Young student. He drank a draught of cooler tea to wash down his meal. Then he read the letter again. Twice. Oh well. She knows how to mind herself. But if not, no, nothing has happened. Of course it might. Wait in any case till it does. A wild piece of goods. Her slim legs running up the staircase. Destiny. Ripening now. Vain. Very. He smiled with troubled affection at the kitchen window. Day I caught her in the street, pinching her cheeks to make them red. Anemic a little. Was given milk too long. On the errands king that day round the Kish. Damned old tub pitching about. Not a bit funky. Her pale blue scarf loose in the wind with her hair. All dimpled cheeks and curls, your head it simply swirls. Seaside girls. Torn envelope. Hands stuck in his trousers pockets. Jarvey off for the day. Singing. Friend of the family. Swirls, he says. Pier with lamps. Summer evening. Band. Those girls, those girls. Those lovely seaside girls. Millie, too. Young kisses, the first. Far away now past. Mrs. Marion. Reading, lying back now. Counting strands of her hair. Smiling, braiding. A soft qualm regret flowed down his backbone, increasing. Will happen. Yes. Prevent. Useless. Can't move. Girl's sweet light lips. Will happen, too. He felt the flowing qualm spread over him. Useless to move now. Lips kissed, kissing kissed. Full gluey woman's lips. Better where she is down there, away. Occupy her. Wanted a dog to pass the time. Might take a trip down there. August bank holiday. Only 2 and 6 return. 6 weeks off, however. Might work a press pass. Or through McCoy. The cat, having cleaned all her fur, returned to the meat-stained paper, nosed at it, and stalked to the door. She looked back at him, meowing. Wants to go out. Wait before a door sometime it'll open. Let her wait. Has the fidgets. Electric. Thunder in the air. Was washing at her ear with her back to the fire, too. He felt heavy, full, then a gentle loosening of his bowels. He stood up, undoing the waistband of his trousers. The cat mewed to him. Meow, he said in answer. Wait till I'm ready. Heaviness, hot day coming. Too much trouble to fag up the stairs to the landing. A paper. He liked to read at stool. Hope no ape comes knocking just as I'm. In the table drawer he found an old number of Titbits. He folded it under his armpit, went to the door and opened it. The cat went up in soft bounds. Ah! Wanted to go upstairs. Curl up in a ball on the bed. Listening, he heard her voice. Come, come, pussy, come. He went out through the back door into the garden, stood to listen towards the next garden. No sound. Perhaps hanging clothes out to dry. The maid was in the garden. Fine morning. He bent down to regard a lean file of spearmint growing by the wall. Make a summer house here. Scarlet runners, Virginia creepers. Want to manure the whole place over. Scabby soil. A coat of liver of sulfur. All soil like that, without dung. Household slops. Loam, what is this, that is? The hens in the next garden. Their droppings are very good, top dressing. Best of all, though, are the cattle, especially when they are fed on those oil cakes. Mulch of dung. Best thing to clean ladies' kids' gloves. Ladies' kid gloves. Dirty cleans. Ashes, too. Reclaim the whole place. Grow peas in that corner there. Lettuce. Always have fresh greens then. Still gardens have their drawbacks. That bee or blue bottle here, White Monday. He walked on. Where is my hat, by the way? Must have put it back on the peg. Or hanging up on the floor. Funny, I don't remember that. Hall stand too full. 4 umbrellas, her rain cloak. Picking up the letters. Drago's shop bell ringing. Queer, I was just thinking that moment. Brown brilliantined hair over his collar. Just had a wash and brush up. Wonder, have I time for a bath this morning? Tara Street. Chap in the pay box there got away. James Stevens, they say. O'Brien. Deep voice that fellow Douglach has. Agenda, what it is. What is it? Now, my miss. Enthusiast. He kicked open the crazy door of the Jakes. Better be careful to not get these trousers dirty for the funeral. He went in, bowing his head under the low lintel. Leaving the door ajar, amid the stench of moldy lime wash and stale cobwebs, he undid his braces. Before sitting down, he peered through a chink up at the next door window. The king was in his counting house. Nobody. A squat on the cock stool, he folded out his paper, turning its pages over on his bared knees. Something new and easy. No great hurry. Keep it a bit. Our prize tidbit. Macham's Masterstroke, written by Mr. Philip Beaufoy, Playgoers Club, London. Payment at the rate of 1 guinea a column has been made to the writer. 3.5. £3 3. £3 13 and 6. Quietly he read, restraining himself, the first column, and, yielding but resisting, began the second. Midway, his last resistance yielding, he allowed his bowels to ease themselves quietly as he read, reading still patiently, that slight constipation of yesterday quite gone. Hope it's not too big, bring on piles again. No, just right. So. Ah! Cost of 1 tabloid of Cascara Sagrada. Life might be so. It did not move or touch him, but it was something quick and neat. Print anything now. Silly season. He read on, seated calm above his own rising smell. Neat, certainly. Macham often thinks of the masterstroke by which he won the laughing which who now begins and ends morally, hand in hand, smart. He glanced back through what he had read, and, while feeling his water flow quietly, he envied kindly Mr. Beaufoy, who had written it and received payment of £3 13 and 6. Might manage a sketch by Mr. and Mrs. L. M. Bloom. Invent a story for some proverb which? Time I used to try jotting down on my cuff what she said dressing. Dislike dressing together. Nicked myself shaving. Biting her nether lip. Hooking the placket of her skirt. Timing her. 9:15. Did Roberts pay you yet? 9:20. What had Greta Conroy on? 9:23. What possessed me to buy this comb? 9:24. I'm swelled after that cabbage. A speck of dust on the patent leather of her boot. rubbing smartly in each welt against her stocking calf, morning after the bazaar dance, when May's head played Punk Yelly's Dance of the Hours. Explain that morning hours. Noon, then evening coming on, then night hours. Washing her teeth. That was the first night. Her head dancing, her fan sticks clicking. Is that Boylan well off? He has money. Why? I noticed he had a good smell of his breath dancing. No use humming then. Allude to it. Strange kind of music that last night. The mirror was in shadow. She rubbed her hand glass briskly on her woolen vest against her full wagging boob. Peering into it. Lines in her eyes. It wouldn't pan out somehow. Evening hours. Girls in gray gauze. Night hours, then black with daggers and eye masks. Poetical idea, pink, then golden, then gray, then black. Still true to life also. Day, then the night. He tore away half the prize story sharply and wiped himself with it. Then he girded up his trousers, braced and buttoned himself. He pulled back the jerky, shaky door of the Jakes and came forth from the gloom into the air. In the bright light, lightened and cooled in limb, he eyed carefully his black trousers, the ends, the knees, and the huffs of the knees. What time is the funeral? Better find out in the paper. A creak and a dark whir in the air high up. The bells of George's church. They tolled the hour. Loud, dark iron. Hey ho, hi ho, hi ho, hi ho, hi ho, hi ho. 2:45. There again, the overtone following through the air. A third. Poor Dingham. What a chapter that was. He just took a shit. By lorries along Sir John Rogerson's quay. Mr. Bloom walked soberly. Past Windmill Lane, Liasks the linseed crushers, the postal telegraph office. Could have given that address, too, and past the sailor's home. He turned from the morning noises of the quayside and walked through Lime Street. By Brady's cottages a boy for the skins lolled, his bucket of offal linked, smoking a chewed fag butt. A smaller girl with scars of eczema on her forehead eyed him, listlessly holding her battered cask hoop. Tell him if he smokes he won't grow. Oh, let him. His life is such a bed of roses. His life isn't such a bed of roses. Waiting outside pubs to bring Da home. Come home to Ma, Da. Slack hour. Won't be many there. He crossed Townsend Street, past the frowning face of Bethel. L, yes, house of Aleph, Beth, and past Nichols the undertaker's. At 11 it is. Time enough. Dare say Corny Kelleher bagged that job for O'Neill's, singing with his eyes shut. Corny. Met her once in the park, in the dark. What a lark. Police tout. Her name and address she then told with the Touraloom Tay. With my Touraloom Tay. Oh, surely he bagged it. Bury him cheap in a what you may call, with my Touraloom. In Westland Row he halted before the window of the Belfast and Oriental Tea Company and read the legends of lead-papered packets, choice blend, finest quality. Family tea. Rather warm. Tea. Must get some from Tom Kernan. Couldn't ask him at a funeral, though. While his eyes still read blandly, he took off his hat, quietly inhaling his hair oil, and sent his right hand with slow grace over his brow and hair. Very warm morning. Under their dropped lids, his eyes found the tiny bow of the leather handband inside his high-grade hop. Just there. His right hand came down into the bowl of his hat. His fingers found quickly a card behind the headband and transferred it to his waistcoat pocket. So warm. His right hand once more slowly went over again. choice blends made of the finest Ceylon brands. The Far East, lovely spot it must be, the garden of the world, big lazy leaves to float about on, cactuses, flowery meads, snaky lianas they call them. Wonder is it like that? These singlees lobbing around in the sun, in dolce far niente, not doing a hand's turn all day. Sleep 6 months out of 12, too hot to quarrel. Influence of the climate, lethargy, flowers of idleness. The air feeds most, azotes, hothouse and botanic gardens, sensitive plants, water lilies, petals too tired to, sleeping sickness in the air. Walk on rose leaves. Imagine trying to eat tripe and cow heel. Where is his back? Where was the chap I saw in the picture somewhere? Ah, in the Dead Sea, floating on his back, reading a book with a parasol open. Couldn't you sink if you tried? So thick with salt. Because the weight of the water, no, the weight of the body in the water is equal to the weight of the, or is it the volume is equal to the weight? It's a law, something like that. Vance in high school cracking his finger joints, teaching. The college curriculum, cracking curriculum. What is weight, really, when you say the weight? 32 feet per second, law of falling bodies, per second, they all fall to the ground, the earth, it's the force of gravity of the earth is the weight. He turned away and sauntered across the road. How did she walk with her sausages? Like that something. As he walked, he took that folded Freeman from his side pocket, unfolded it, rolled it lengthwise in a baton, and tapped it at each sauntering step against his trouser leg. Careless air. Just drop in to see. Per second for every second it means. From the curbstone he darted a keen glance through the door of the post office. Too late, box. Post here, no one. In. He handed the card through the brass grill. Are there any letters for me? He asked. While the postmistress searched a pigeonhole, he gazed at the recruiting poster with soldiers of all arms on parade, and held the tip of his baton against his nostrils, smelling fresh-printed rag paper. No answer, probably. Went too far last time. The postmistress handed him back, through the grill, his card with a letter. He thanked and glanced rapidly at the typed envelope. Henry Flower, Esquire, C/O, P.O. Westland Row, City. I don't know what C/O means. Can't remember. Answered anyhow. He slipped card and letter into his side pocket, reviewing again the soldiers on parade. Where is old Tweedy's regiment? Cast-off soldier. There. Bearskin cap and hackle plume. No, he's a grenadier. Pointed cuffs. There he is. Royal Dublin Fusiliers. Redcoats. Too showy. That must be why the women go after them. Uniform. Easier to enlist and drill. Maud Gone's letter about taking them off O'Connell Street at night. Disgrace to our Irish capital. Griffith's paper is on the same tack now. An army rotten with venereal disease. Overseas, or half seas over empire. Half-baked they look. Hypnotized like. Eyes front. Mark time. Table. Able. Bed. Ed. The king's own. Never see him dressed up as a fireman or a bobby. A mason, yes. He strolled out of the post office and turned to the right. Talk, as if that would mend matters. His hand went into his pocket and a forefinger felt its way under the flap of the envelope, ripping it open in jerks. Women will pay a lot of heed, I don't think. His fingers drew forth the letter and crumpled the envelope in his pocket. Something pinned on. Photo, perhaps? Hair? No. McCoy. Get rid of him quickly. Take me out of my way. Hate company when you. Hello, Bloom. Where are you off to? Hello, McCoy. Nowhere in particular. How's the body? Fine. How are you? Just keeping alive, McCoy said. His eyes on the black tie and clothes, he asked with low respect. Is there any No trouble, I hope. I see you're... Oh, no, Mr. Bloom said. More poor Dingham, you know. The funeral is today. To be sure, poor fellow. So it is. What time? A photo it isn't. A badge, maybe. 11, Mr. Bloom answered. I must try to get out there, Miss McCoy said. 11, is it? I only heard it last night. Who is telling me? Holohan? You know Hoppy? I know. Mr. Bloom gazed across the road at the outsider drawn up before the door of the Grosvenor. The porter hoisted the valise up on the well. She stood still, waiting, while the man, husband, brother like her, searched his pockets for change. Stylish kind of coat with that roll collar. Warm for a day like this. Looks like blanket cloth. Careless stand of her with her hands in those patched pockets. Like that haughty creature at the polo march. Women all for caste till you touch the spot. Handsome is and handsome does. Reserved about to yield. The Honorable Mrs. and Brutus is an honorable man. Possess her. Once take the starch out of her.